Oh, it is. It is Wednesday episode, Hump Day episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno with you for the next hour or so.
And it's me, Hussam Patel, baby.
Hussam is in. Oh, and I like Hussam. He's dressed like he wants to talk some Miami Heat today. We're going to talk some Dolphins with Hussam. We'll talk some Heat. He's wearing red. I got a little red as part of my color combo today.
Oh, do you want me to bust out my away jersey? Because I can do that too.
You should. Hold on. I got.
It'll take me 2 minutes. I'll be back.
This is literally the only Heat jersey that I own because I'm just not that big of a basketball jersey guy. I got the Shaquille O'Neal circa 2005. I got the Shaquille O'Neal. Welcome to everybody who's watching us now on and participating in the live chat. Our guy David was the first person in. I see Ian from Brooklyn is in already. BK. Oh, that's beautiful, Hussam. IMAX, named after my favorite type of movie screen. He's in as well. So that was one of the good Vices. Actually, you know what? I think I liked all the Vice colors except for the one that looked like a clown vomited, like the one with like all the colors mixed up. Well, no, not even like just the straight up pink one was good, but they had the one I think it was from last season when they had the like the Vice. I'm sure somebody in the chat remembers what it was called, but it was the one that was like multicolored and it just
the cotton candy one. Yeah.
The cotton candy, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The one a clown. It's like looks like a clown threw up.
It did look like a clown threw up.
Not my favorite one. I didn't like the all pink one either.
I like the pink one.
I really like this one though. It's amazing.
That one was good too. The white one, the black one was fine. Just the clown vomit cotton candy one was not good. And yeah, be like Finn's Tailgate, our guy Chris. Guys, if you're in here right now on YouTube, whether you're watching us live at 2:02 p.m., April the 13th, year of our Lord 2022, or if you're watching us via replay later on, make sure you smash that like button. Hit the thumbs up button because it really helps us out. The more likes we get, the more people are going to see this video. That's just how the YouTube algorithm works.
I gotta do that for my show too, man. I just finished doing my live with the Scouting Combine. I had Brandon Angelo on from Angelo Fantasy. Talked to some wide receivers. I asked for a super chat donation. I guess nobody gave it, but I hope you guys give a super chat donation here on the Donno Daily Show.
You know, I don't even know. Like, I think I get like a cut of the super chat. Manny gets a cut of the super chat. So, and I think we spread it around the network. So, if you give on the super chat during this show, I think Hussam might even see a few cents of that. So, if you guys are willing, not only should you smash the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Both of those things are completely free to do, by the way. If you do want to leave us something in the tip jar, you can leave us something on the super chat as well. And it's going to go into maybe Hussam can buy another Miami Heat sweatshirt. You know, and he lives a few hours north of me. So you might need a sweatshirt like more than the 3 you might need.
I'm actually in Atlanta right now for a business trip. So I got off at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, right? I went to go get my rental car. And the lady's like, "Can I have your sweatshirt?" I'm like, because usually when women ask you for your sweatshirt, you're like, you know, I kind of like you. Can I wear it? You know, I want to smell how you smell. I'm like, she's like, "Oh, no, I'm a Heat fan. I'm a big Heat fan. I'm from the city of Miami." I'm like, okay, that's normal now. That's normal. Like, imagine some like random woman coming up to you, be like, can I have your sweatshirt? You know, can we get together? You know, I was like, you can try buying it online, but I think they're out of stock too because this is like limited edition.
Yeah, they are. They're all limited edition. Those Vice things. Oh man, no, that's so good. And now listen, I tried to dress up a little bit for today. I'm wearing the old school Newsy Peaky Blinders type hat. I'm wearing a shirt with a collar today. Unfortunately, I do not own anything made out of lamb skin. Did you guys see Ben Simmons yesterday? I mean, you think he plays for the Celtics with what he was wearing there, but he's wearing that watching his Brooklyn Nets. They did get the victory over the Cleveland Cavaliers, and although it was a little
we don't face the Brooklyn Nets, right?
Yeah, exactly. We cannot face them until potentially the Eastern Conference Finals, I think, if they were to get that far.
It's a
And Ben,
pretty good bracket for the Heat as well.
it's a great bracket. And so Ben Simmons, he even told TNT afterwards that his outfit is made of lamb. Like nobody asked, like he volunteered that information, but no, totally. So the Cavaliers, I could pull up the box score here for you guys so you can take a look. For those who didn't watch the game, I did watch this one. I didn't watch the late game in the West because I'm an old man, and I have to go to bed like by 10 o'clock. So honestly, I think the way that this game played out, I would still, because I've got guts, okay? I would still pick the Miami Heat if it had lined up this way. I would have picked the Miami Heat to beat the Brooklyn Nets in a 7-game series.
Defense.
Oh yeah.
You saw how you could see that Brooklyn, yes, of course they have offensive firepower, but they have no defense, man. And that's what really kept Cleveland in the game up until that last fourth quarter.
They covered the spread, Cleveland.
When Kyrie Irving just went off. Ramadan Kyrie, man. We talked about this last week too, just like the endurance and like how athletes during Ramadan do well. And Kyrie Irving, I mean, he was fantastic, just draining them shots, man. Him, KD, just going at it, man. Yes, you got the offensive firepower, but if the Miami Heat have one of the better defenses in the NBA, and it is going to be a challenge. Like, you don't get your shots in early, you don't build that rhythm. And that's
Right.
where I agree with you, Alex. You have that advantage early on, and then it's very hard to get back into that rhythm.
Yeah, so just I look at the way that the game played out last night, Brooklyn over Cleveland. And we expected Brooklyn to win and lock up the 7th seed. But if they didn't lock up the 7th seed, they'd be playing again later this week to try and lock up the 8th seed. So the Heat avoid Brooklyn. And I think seeing Kyrie going off and KD going off, I think that validates the fear that some of you had. Now, I'm not afraid of Brooklyn. The Heat take out any of the teams that they could have faced coming out of the play. And now one is out. Cleveland is out. Or no, sorry, Cleveland gets to play again. So you have three. You have
I think it's
three
against Charlotte, right?
Yeah. Well, Charlotte's
No, well, the winner
Atlanta.
of Charlotte, the loser.
Exactly. Yeah. So
the winner of Charlotte.
They're going to – I know it is confusing. So I'm glad – I was like trying to think it through. Right. So they're going to play the so there are 3 possibilities the Heat could face. So Cleveland is going to take on the winner of Charlotte, Atlanta. You should know that, being in the ATL right now. And then the Heat are going to face whoever locks up the 8th seed. The Heat are going to face. So I would pick the Heat against any of those teams. But I think some of the fear that you guys had of not wanting to face Brooklyn. Then of course you hear this week Charles Barkley had said that if Brooklyn had fallen to the 8th seed, he would have picked them to beat Miami in the first round. Guys, every day I try to do my job, right? Because it's my job to watch sports programming, right? I watch almost every day at least parts of First Take. I watch some of The Undisputed on Fox Sports 1. I watch some Get Up some days. I prefer Good Morning Football, but the problem is when it's not football season, I need to get some basketball as well. I watch Get Up in the morning. Mike Greenberg is insufferable. Not a fan. I'm not a fan. He can't go. Greeny cannot go 3 seconds without talking about how amazing the Brooklyn Nets are and how they're going to come out of the East and probably win a championship. Well, maybe not that far because I don't know.
It's the same way with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah,
talking about the Lakers and the Knicks. And I don't know if you follow, if you guys follow 5 Reasons Sports Network Twitter account. Every single day you hear us tweeting about. Oh, they're talking about the Lakers again. They're talking about the Knicks. Well, what are the good stories in the NBA? Nobody cares. Nobody freaking cares about the Lakers or Knicks. They are poverty franchises this season. Okay, nobody cares. Yeah. I'm sorry, I said it. Nobody cares.
Yeah, I mean, at least the New York Knicks actually have fans, delusional fans, but they have fans. The Brooklyn Nets, they don't have any real fans. Like I'm sorry. Whenever the Heat play at that arena, the Barclays Center, all I hear are "Let's go Heat" chants. It's the same thing, by the way, with your hometown in Orlando. Whenever the Heat play at the Magic,
my hometown is still Miami, though.
Okay, fine. Well, but where is your home? Like, where is your literal home?
Right behind UCF. So right within Magic territory. Like
So
I'm shocked that there's actual
Magic territory does not exist. Like the only time that they had fans was like I don't think they've had any fans since Tracy McGrady left Orlando. Like there were a lot of fans, and I remember growing up. I'm a little bit older than Hussam, a lot older than Hussam, probably very old. I'm 37 years old. When I was growing up, I knew a lot of kids that I went to school with, like elementary school, who this was like before Pat Riley got to the Heat. And a lot of these kids that I knew were like bandwagon Orlando Magic fans when they had Shaq and Penny. But then when Shaq and Penny left and Riley came over to the Heat, Alonzo Mourning, Tim Hardaway, the Heat started getting good. They kind of slid into the Heat's DMs and then they never looked back. And so now it's like in Orlando, there are no Magic fans. Like they're a figment of your imagination. That's why Fantasyland is in the city of Orlando, because it's a fantasy to think that the Magic have any fans. They're all Miami Heat fans. Now, there's probably some Knicks fans like anything else, but it's the same thing with Brooklyn. Nobody in New York cheers for that team. They're all Knicks fans. I mean, I don't know if there used to be New Jersey Nets fans, but they probably got upset.
That was a thing back then too. I forgot. The New Jersey Nets.
Yeah, the New Jersey Nets, man. But yeah, I think they gave up on that team when they went through. Did I say I was 36? I meant to say I'm 37. I don't know. Maybe I forgot about the birthday that I had 7 months ago.
Razio the Great. Every other team in the East is no threat to us. But what about
Milwaukee? Milwaukee's a threat. But and here's
Milwaukee's a good threat.
Milwaukee, they are not the Milwaukee Bucks. They are the Milwaukee bitches. They tanked on purpose their last game because they were afraid of facing Brooklyn in the first round. That's not how defending champions approach a postseason. So they lose on purpose so they can avoid facing Brooklyn in the first round. And so now, and by the way, I don't want to sound like I'm stealing content from Five on the Floor, even though I totally am. They can bill me later. And Ethan Skolnick is going to be joining us in about 20 minutes. But I was listening to Five on the Floor this morning, the one that they recorded, after the Nets Cavaliers game last night. Now that we see the way that the playoffs have shaken out, you know who karma favored? Karma favored your number one seed, Miami Heat, who didn't tank. They didn't duck anybody. They won the Eastern Conference, and they didn't even really it's not like they went out of their way to play everybody to take the number one seed. I mean, you think about
not to mention, bro, most of our starters weren't even healthy for 20 to 30 plus games too.
Exactly,
insane.
And they still got the one seed.
And then you have ESPN talk about, oh yeah, LeBron wasn't healthy. Anthony Davis, who my favorite nickname is A Disney.
Oh, that's a good one. A Disney.
Well, hasn't played full season within the last 2 seasons. Has played 50 something games the last 3 seasons. Okay. Yes, they're superstars. Yes, they were injured, but they did it to themselves by getting away role players. That's why the Miami Heat are so deep with their bench players. You have Tyler Hero, who is going to be the 6th man of the year, right? I mean, come on. He has to.
Oh, shoo-in. Yeah.
He has to be. He has to be like a Brooklyn Rob updating his studios because I'm in a hotel, Rob. That's why.
So Brooklyn Rob is saying that your hotel room, which you're going to be kicked out of that room. I don't know how long you're going to be in town there, but in a couple of days they're going to slide a bill under the door. They're going to say, "Get the hell out." So that's a better studio than your actual living quarters, is what he's saying.
Right. I got some words for Robson, but not now. But as I was saying, you got rid of Caruso, you got rid of Drummond, you got rid of all your role players that helped you down the stretch. And this is what the Miami Heat are really good at. They have really, really good role players that can play. You have Max Strus, you have Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson here and there. You have Gabe Vincent, who can be your primary ball handler too when you need him to be. It's deep, bro. And they have played solid minutes the regular season that they are basically ready for the playoffs.
Victor Oladipo might be the best player on the team. He's not going to be in the playoff rotation. He goes out there against that bum-ass Orlando team and scores 40 points, double-double, nearly a triple-double, and then Spoelstra is going to have to sit this guy down within the next few days and say, Vic, you can't play for us in the playoffs because you disrupt our chemistry. We had this amazing rotation from October to March. I tried to shove you into the rotation. Everything got discombobulated. Jimmy and I started fighting with each other. Udonis wants to fight Jimmy. I'm sorry, buddy, you can't play. Unless somebody gets hurt, you can't play. This guy can go off for 40 points. Oladipo, he's going to be a free agent. We can't even get this guy on the court in the playoffs. But Hussam, what happened with Miami being rewarded cosmically by locking up that number 1 seed? They're on the opposite side of the bracket from Milwaukee, who I think is the biggest threat to the Heat in the East, Boston, who's probably the second biggest threat, and Brooklyn, who's a wild card, an absolute wild. And the Heat get to avoid all of those teams until potentially the Eastern Conference Finals. So karma is a Miami Heat.
Well, what about the semis too? Like, imagine like Miami moves on from the first round, which I do think they will move on from the first round. If Boston is the 6th? No. Actually, no, never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah.
If
Boston's
somehow Brooklyn is able to beat Boston again, somehow, some way, shape, or form, Ramadan Kyrie versus Ramadan Jaylen Brown. Who are you taking on that one? I'm taking Kyrie Irving, but I just the star power of the Nets. Look, they were one big fat toe away from reaching the NBA Finals last season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're a star-studded team, and we know in the NBA, offense is king. Offense reigns supreme. Now, that Celtics-Nets series is going to be one to watch out for, and
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
They're rooting for the Celtics because they don't want to see the Celtics up until possibly the final.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like Mike Greenberg and Stephen A. Smith. They'll be rooting for the Nets. I'm sure Charles Barkley be rooting for the Nets.
Yeah, and more so likely, like what the odds say, the favorite percentages say, the ESPN says as well, as like they're more likely to get either a Philly or a Toronto draw.
Right.
And if it's a Toronto draw, that's going to be a fun series. Philly series will be fun too, but I think Miami will take that Philly series. But that Toronto series is going to be a fantastic, fantastic matchup.
No doubt. So hold on. I just want to pull up because the Heat are not getting very much respect here in terms of the Vegas odds. So let me share my screen real quick. I'm getting faster at this, Hussam. I'm getting a little bit better.
I taught you this, but like a month ago. Now you're like, I'm like, okay, I got this. Who is favorite to win?
All right, so I'm also going to enlarge the page so the people out there with bad eyes can see this a little bit better. So here are the latest, and this has been updated here. Championship NBA odds. I'm not going to argue Phoenix being favored. They should be. Milwaukee number 2. Now you start to go to crazy town after this. You're telling me the Brooklyn Nets, who are just limping into the playoffs through the play-in and cannot stop a nosebleed defensively, have the 3rd best odds to win a championship at plus 650. Now, I can explain this one a little bit. Like, why do the Brooklyn Nets have better odds than so many other teams when they really don't, quote unquote, deserve it? It's because when the season opened up, so much money came in on Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas needs to counteract that so people are betting on other teams, right? If Brooklyn wins the championship, they take a huge bath with that.
When have the Miami Heat actually ever been respected?
That's a great question. I think that they were definitely feared during the Big Three era. And I'm sure that they were respected by other basketball teams for the most part, but they certainly they weren't respected by fans and the media and it's crazy. The hypocrisy always drives me crazy because when the Golden State Warriors built themselves a bona fide super team, everyone was just like, oh, this is awesome. This is so cool. When the Heat built themselves a bona fide super team, they're like, this should never be allowed. Oh, my God, this is terrible. We need to make it against the collective bargaining agreement. You cannot allow 3 players that good to play on the same team.
It's antitrust. We need to break up the antitrust.
Yeah.
Let's get Congress involved
right.
in this.
And then a couple years later, when the Golden State Warriors had not a big 3, a big 4, everyone's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Oh, well, I never really understood the hypocrisy, but that's how it goes. I don't know if the Heat have ever been respected. I really don't think that they have. I think they've been respected by other teams, GMs,
they've been called the
players.
Frauds. They've been called the global frauds, even though the Lakers can't even make the fucking playoffs the last 2 seasons. Like, come on, man. Like, come on. Like, it's what we talked about last week. It's just this national sports media narrative that they want to talk about negativity all the time because, hey, it gets it, right? It gets people riled up. It gets the conversation and discussion going.
So I like some of these comments. By the way, IMAX says if you're a Miami Hurricane, as I am a Hurricane fan, you should be used to the disrespect. And listen, I don't dislike it. Like I'm okay with it. Like I think I would rather be disrespected and then pleasantly surprise people than be overhyped, because then they really get on you if you don't win, right? Like they're getting on the Lakers. Like not only the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs, and they're all talking Lakers negativity. Like I would rather be in this spot flying under the radar than flying above the radar and then everyone just dogging you. The Heat are like the Canes. No respect is given. I like it. And all the Canes accounts are chiming in with that. You guys are 1,000% right.
Okay, now I gotta quick timeout on this Canes thing. I'm a Canes fan. I'm a Canes fan myself.
I'll tell you if you're a Canes fan. Tell me what you're going to say, and I will tell you if you're a Canes fan.
So it's just a thing for me, like especially for Miami Hurricanes football. Where have we shown something on the field the last couple seasons where teams should fear us or
that's true.
Respect us? Like literally, like the Al Golden era. I mean, come on.
Oh, it was embarrassing.
Randy Shannon, yeah, okay, we were all right, but nothing was gonna actually happen.
I mean, right? there was the 1 year, 2017, with Mark Richt. Where they were number 2 in the country in November, like 1 week away.
And then they completely shat the bed.
They did.
I was so pissed, man. I'm telling you, I was so pissed. I was like, it's the same old Miami Hurricanes. You build yourself up so well, you get there, we're like, yeah, we're back. We haven't been back since.
But here's the thing is, though, and you're not wrong about the on-the-field results, but where the disrespect comes into play, I can give you a recent example. Miami goes out, they hire Mario Cristobal.
Right, okay.
They're starting to revolutionize the staff, and nobody can give them any credit, right? Like before Mario left Oregon for Miami, and he basically had a blank check on his desk from Phil Knight that will pay you any amount to stay here. Everyone's talking about, oh, Mario's an amazing coach. He's going to stay at Oregon. He's not leaving to go to Miami. And then when he goes to Miami, it's like, well, he's really not that good of a coach. This guy doesn't know when to call his timeouts. He's terrible. And then the whole narrative is, well, why were they so mean to Manny Diaz? Like they don't even deserve Mario Cristobal with that. And where's all this money come from? Oh, they were profiteering during a pandemic. This is blood money that they're using to buy these. So I think that's where the disrespect comes in. And then like 10 years ago, the Nevin Shapiro stuff comes out. Nobody gives Miami the benefit of the doubt. Everyone's like, oh, death penalty. They should lose their football team. It's like people were harsher on that in some ways than like the Penn State stuff with Sandusky, which is, or completely.
There was actually an article too. I read about it. There was I gotta find it, but it was more so along the Sandusky line for Penn State. There was, I think, a not a professor. There was somebody else. No, Todd Hodney. He was before. You know what? I'm going on a different tangent. We'll talk about it a little bit later.
All right, so hold on. Let me keep going through these championship odds. So the Heat are plus 1,200, tied in the odds with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're behind the Celtics and the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. So listen, I can argue being behind the 76ers and the Celtics. I think the Heat should be in front of both of those teams. And the Nets it's ridiculous, but Vegas is just trying to get some of that money back because so much money came in on Brooklyn early. As far as Milwaukee, I'm not really going to argue that one because they are the defending champs. I think the Heat are better equipped to deal with them in a playoff series this year versus the humiliation of getting swept last year. I think if and when they meet again, hopefully in the Eastern Conference Finals, that's when they would meet. I think the Heat can definitely make it more competitive and can even win that series. But if the Heat find themselves in that series against Milwaukee, I would completely understand why most people would probably pick the Bucks to win that series, and I wouldn't argue it. So I can understand Milwaukee being ahead of Miami in the championship odds, but Brooklyn, Boston, and Philadelphia, I feel disrespected by that.
Can we just shout out Coach Quinn?
Oh, he's the man.
The man. Now
he's the Oladipo whisperer. Like Oladipo plays well when Chris Quinn coaches.
I gotta ask Ethan this once he comes on. But can there be traction where Chris Quinn gets a head coaching job next season?
It's kind of well, I mean, I don't know about that. I was gonna say something really stupid, like I was gonna say it's like a Luke Walton type of thing, but Luke Walton like coached, didn't he coach like basically the whole season when Steve Kerr had the bat? So it's not the same thing. I don't know. I don't know if people are gonna be at this time, at the end of the season, knocking on Chris Quinn's door, but I think he's on track, right? And we've seen
yeah. I'm being completely honest with you. I'm not like I am with the Dolphins. I don't know everything about the Heat. Right.
But you do know everything about the Dolphins.
I do know most things about the Dolphins.
You do.
But with the Heat, I'm kind of inexperienced. On, so I don't know so much about this coach staff. And I wish Ethan came in a little bit earlier. Take some initiative, man. Come on.
Well, here's the thing. We were targeting 215. He was literally at Heat practice.
Yeah, I know.
And he's trying. Yeah. No, but if you want to, when he shows up, if you want to tell him he's being lazy, I'll get out of your way. I'll get out of your way. That he should have hopped in a little bit sooner. I'm not going to argue with it.
Listen, I got food coming in too, so I may be eating while he's talking.
What are you eating?
I ordered a chicken biryani.
I'm not sure. Is that like a Pakistani dish?
It's like Pakistani Indian thing. It's basically like rice pilaf with like meat. Like you can put chicken, lamb, whatever into it. Goat.
I know I'm gonna like that. I do some damage on some goat. Is that mutton? You call it?
Mutton, goat, whatever, lamb. It don't matter, man. It's protein at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was down in Jamaica a couple months ago. A lot of mutton. A whole lot of mutton down there. Yeah,
a lot of goat curry too, man.
It's so good. I did have it, and it's awesome. It's a little bit weird.
Like sticky. Yeah. It's like sticky. Like within Jamaica, there's a lot of Indian influence too. So that Indo-Caribbean is like very similar to Indian and Pakistani food.
Brooklyn Rob says he prefers tikka masala.
Marsala and masala are two completely.
I think he means masala. I think he means like chicken marsala with the R in there. It's like a bootleg Italian American dish, but no, I think he means the Indian inspired one, which I do like that as well. By the way, I guess David was listening to me. I was filling in for Hawk yesterday.
Food's here.
His mushing. His mushing on WQAM nearly made the Panthers lose last night. His mushing probably ruined Sergei Bobrovsky. I was singing Bob's praises earlier this season. In the next few minutes, we are going to be joined by Ethan J. Skolnick. Oh, did you get the food? Hold on. So, Hussam, I'm going to talk about our great sponsors. And while I do that, I want you to open up that styrofoam box there. And in a minute or two, I'm going to revisit with you so we can all see what the chicken biryani
I
looks
hope like. You gave me some utensils. I don't see utensils here.
Oh, no. And I'm guessing you're not in like the type of hotel. Oh, that looks good. Can you open that up?
Yeah.
Can you open that piece up?
I'm trying to find these utensils. No utensils. Well, thankfully I have.
Oh, that sucked. You have it? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in an unfamiliar place like that, you're on the road. How do you go about finding the place to order food? Do you Yelp or do you just like you walk by? You walk by the place.
I have a cousin here in Atlanta. So he helped me out on some food.
So it came highly recommended.
So good. It smells so good. Look at it.
It looks good. I'm gonna have you like whatever you don't eat, just ship it down to me. Free, like do the thing where you put like the dry ice packets in there and just ship the rest of it down to me. You know where I wish I could ship food to everyone watching this from the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. They got great chicken at the Quarterdeck, my friends. The jerk chicken sandwich is absolutely awesome. I love the all-American burger at the Quarterdeck. The seafood is so fresh. I do a lot of damage on those poke bowls and with the sushi. I love sushi. Even if you're not a sushi fan, there's something for you. They got fresh mahi-mahi. The baby back ribs are excellent at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. The Quarterdeck is the official sports bar of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And we are going to have Heat Road playoff watch parties at the Quarterdeck, Davey. I can't give you the dates right now because we're waiting for those to come out. We're also waiting for our opponent. But once we have everything announced, we're going to be watching Heat road playoff games at the Quarterdeck Davy. You're going to come out. You're going to meet people like me if you want to. If you want to just avoid me, it's fine. Ethan Skolnick is the guy you probably want to meet. So come out there and visit us at the Quarterdeck Davy and enjoy those 2-for-1 drink specials. Guys, they have 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. That never ends at the Quarterdeck. They got the big TVs covering every wall. It's not only your spot to watch all the big games, it's your spot to watch the UFC pay-per-view fights as well. So find their menu online, find the location nearest to you as well. Visit their website, quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. My friends, we have an official sports book here on Donno Daily. If you want to put a little bit of money on the Heat at plus 1,200, if you think that's a bargain. Now, I know what Brooklyn Rob's going to say. I should avoid it because of the mush factor. But you can get championship futures, game-by-game lines, parlays, props, all that good stuff at America's favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com. And we have the best bonus in the industry for you. Sign up at BetUS.com with our code. That's 5RSN125. Write it down if you think you're going to forget it. Because, hell, I forget things all the time. So write it down, 5RSN125. Sign up with that code for a 125% sign-up bonus. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com.
So here's the chicken, the boneless chicken right here.
It looks pretty good. Okay. So we got Hussam here eating. We got our guest for the day. It looks like Ethan's chewing on something as well. He just got home from Heat practice. What do you got there?
He's eating too. Look at that.
Yeah. What is that?
It's a pizza roll.
Oh, Totino style. I like it.
Yeah, Totino's. That's the extent of my cooking.
I'm having chicken biryani, Ethan. You got to level up on your food palate.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh.
I didn't know what it was either.
Come to Orlando. I'll take you out for some Indian food.
And you know what? I usually stop at Come to Orlando.
Okay, how about for a Heat game, you fly me out to Miami because I've never been to a Heat game.
I love how this guy wants to fly from Orlando to get your ass in the car and drive, you lazy
I'm just
bum.
going to eat my pizza roll.
This guy lives like 3 hours away, and he wants Ethan to get him on a flight from Orlando to Miami.
Right about.
Listen, man, I'm starting. Look, I'm very experienced in the Dolphins role. I think I should delve a little bit into the Heat side of it too. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you're wearing a good sweatshirt, but yeah.
That's true.
Just eat your chicken Torrentino or whatever that is.
Biryani, man. Come on.
Sorry.
Now, before we get to whatever may or may not have happened at Heat practice which Ethan just got home from, let's talk a little bit about last night, Ethan. Now, I know the last time we talked, you were adamant Heat fans should not fear Brooklyn. We do end up avoiding Brooklyn, and I kind of thought with the way Kyrie took over and the way KD played, I think a little bit of that fear was validated because I think this team could, they could, if all the stars align, they could make some noise.
Well, they have two stars to align. That's the thing. I mean, the rest of that roster, and then Bruce Brown, I mean, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, there's just not a lot there. I mean, on the interior in particular, here's the thing. I agree with what Greg and Alex on my show talked about, or our show, I should say, talked about on 5 on the Floor, that like you would rather not play them. Like, I mean, you don't want to have to work that hard. But my whole thing was Heat fans who were trying to say that you should kind of manipulate the standings in some way to avoid them. That first thing, that just didn't make any sense from the perspective of having a real fear when you are the number 1 seed. But additionally, I didn't think that Brooklyn was necessarily going to end up in the 8, and I kept saying that. So, like, why not get the top seed that you could possibly get and just let the chips fall and don't, like, disrespect the basketball gods, right, and just do your thing? I'm with you. Chew your damn food. I got to also. Why not just get up as high as you can and get home court advantage? Because you ended up doing the right thing, and then it played out the way you wanted it to anyway, which is – you've got basically 3 teams that you really didn't want to have to deal with early in the postseason in Brooklyn, Milwaukee, and Boston. In the other bracket, this is like an NCAA bracket where you're like, wow, that's like a group of death, okay? Let them be in their own group of death. You've now created a situation where you have home court against everybody in the East, and you've got a bracket that played out exactly how you want. Any of the 3 teams that you see, you're going to be heavily favored against. I think that the Hawks will give the Heat the biggest challenge of the 3, but I still think it's a 5 or 6 game series at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to the second round, and I really do think we could see a Toronto upset of Philadelphia. And even if we don't see the Toronto upset of Philadelphia, I think that the Heat handle the Sixers. So I just think you're in position now. The team to beat in the Eastern Conference is the Milwaukee Bucks, and now they are going to have to deal with. Well, first they get Chicago, so that should be easy enough. But then they're going to have to deal on the other side of it with either Brooklyn or Boston in the next round, and then you get home court against them if they survive that. It played out perfectly for the Heat, and they handled it correctly.
I love it. Ethan Skolnick is with us here from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So, you mentioned out of the 3 possibilities at the play-in for the 8 seed that Atlanta, relatively speaking, will probably give the Heat the most trouble. Who's the team you would want to face most, Charlotte or Cleveland?
Charlotte.
Yeah, me too.
Now look, I think Cleveland is a little bit dependent on Jared Allen's status. And it does appear he may be ready for the first round, although it does not appear he's going to be ready for Friday night. I think Charlotte is the easiest matchup for Miami. I think, could they get a game? Yes. They have some shooting on that roster. But Miami, with the exception of like the first quarter of the last matchup, Miami has completely bottled up LaMelo Ball. And, when they want to bottle up a ball handler, they do it. It's the best thing that Spoelstra's defense does. And I just think that LaMelo was shooting 24% against the Heat this season coming into the last game. Miles Bridges is a nice player, but on the interior, like Plumlee's not going to be able to do anything with Bam. Montrezl Harrell doesn't defend. I just think Charlotte is the softest of the opponents.
So, Ethan, I got to ask you this. If Charlotte does come out to play against Miami, would you see, like, in your opinion, do you see more of Miami's rotation being implemented, playing larger minutes compared to Miami starters?
No, I mean, I think that honestly, if you look at these 3 matchups, I think that the rotation is pretty much the rotation. Eric Spoelstra said that today. He said he's going to stay with the rotation that they closed the season with, and not the one against Orlando, but the one that was playing previous to that. And so that does mean that you're going to see Oladipo, Markieff Morris on the outside looking in right now, and that there's going to be a choice to be made also at times between Martin and Vincent. But look, Strus is locked in as a starter. I think Duncan Robinson is going to be coming off the bench until he's struggling to such a degree that basically Spoelstra decides that the gravity that he offers is not worth it. But I don't see that happening in a first round series. I think the Oladipo card is going to be played later on. I feel like, and I think that's a conversation that obviously Pat and Eric are going to have with Vic. I was watching them all today. Vic was working on the court. Pat was talking to Eric and smiling and doing their playoff prep, which is not something that the Dolphins typically get to do. I was at Dolphins camp earlier today, by the way.
Busy day.
I tried to take it to both, but this is an annual ritual with Eric and Pat, preparing for the playoffs. And look, one of the decisions they're going to have to make is where do they use Victor Oladipo and for how long. I think that Vic can be of utility in a series against, say, a Philadelphia, where we saw the Sixers the last time that they played the Heat hunted Tyler Hero down the stretch of that game. Would they hunt Victor Oladipo in quite the same way? Okay, now look, you don't want to take Tyler off the court if you don't have to, but there may be certain circumstances, even if it's just offense, defense. The problem with Victor Oladipo right now in the rotation, and we got into this on 5 on the floor, is he a better player than Gabe Vincent? Yes. Is he a better player than Caleb Martin? Yes. Okay. Is he a better all-around player than Duncan Robinson? Yes. The difference between him and those 3 guys, though, is that Victor Oladipo needs the ball in his hands to be effective, even if he was making 3-point shots. And so, yes, he went off for 20 without Jimmy Butler, playing. He went off for 40 without anybody else playing. But when they're all playing, what is his utility? Is it the same? And I think that Eric gave that a shot for like a week and a half to 2 weeks, and the team imploded, And that wasn't the only reason, but that was one of the reasons, was frustration with the rotation from the veteran guys who told him, go back to what was working. He talked to Lowry, he talked to Jimmy, he talked to Bam, and the consensus was, let's go back to Gabe and Caleb and put Strus in the starting lineup, but give Duncan a chance off the bench. And the Heat took off from there. So it's hard then to make the case to put Victor Oladipo back in the rotation just because he has a 40-point game, as remarkable as that was. Okay, we shouldn't take anything away from it, but just because he has a 40-point game, context matters. Okay, he wasn't playing against anybody or with anybody that he would be playing with or against in the playoffs. And so I just think it's going to be a short-term kind of like, okay, we need a jolt, okay? Or maybe Gabe is shooting the ball poorly, okay? Or maybe Duncan's getting cooked, okay? And you have to go to somebody else. But I don't think that's going to be the plan in the first round.
Do you have any thought on these championship odds? And some of these I certainly do not argue with, like Phoenix having the best odds, Milwaukee. But you look at the Miami Heat at plus 1,200. They're, I guess, in a virtual tie, but in this list, they're behind Philadelphia, they're behind Boston, and they're behind Brooklyn. And I think the Brooklyn thing is because so much early money came in on Brooklyn, they're trying to counterbalance that. But still, it's like, why is everyone sleeping this much on Miami?
Well, I mean, I think the odds are fascinating because there are a couple of teams with big numbers that I would play. Okay, it's not just Miami. Look, there's no way to argue with Phoenix's odds. Okay, they are the best team in the league. Okay, Milwaukee deserves to be top 2. I still call them the favorite in the Eastern Conference. Let me skip past Brooklyn, Boston, Golden State, Philadelphia for a second. Although the Philly one is ridiculous to me. Because I just don't think they're as good as Miami in any facet, and James Harden is the ultimate choker. But let's go beyond that, okay? Memphis, could I see Memphis making a championship run? It may be a little soon, but that's a team that's gained incredible confidence this year. They're well coached. They have a legitimate superstar. They defend. They set records this year in terms of leading the league in both steals and blocks. That hadn't been done in like 30 years. Jaren Jackson Jr. is healthy. Desmond Bane is a sniper. That's a very good team. I don't like Utah very much this year. I think that thing implodes. But Denver at 28-1.
Wow.
If Jamal Murray comes back, and there's been some conversation, it's more mental than physical right now. He walks in the building, he changes their look. I mean, Jokic has done this with pretty much a G League roster behind him this season. I mean, he gets it's going to be a lot to ask Jamal Murray to come back at 100%. But if he gets his number 2 back, they're not going to get their number 3 back because I think Porter is out for the season. But if he gets his number 2 back, 28-1 looks pretty good to me. But let's talk about the Celtics and the Nets here for a second, okay?
Sure.
The idea, first thing, that the Celtics would be ahead of the Heat is odd to me. I know how well they've defended for the last 2 to 3 months. I get it. But Rob Williams is out for probably the first round. He may be out for part of the second round. As good as Marcus Smart is defensively, I know that Marcus Smart's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year now because somehow he became the front runner when Rob Williams got hurt, even though Rob Williams' numbers were better. I don't think they have a chance to win a championship unless Rob Williams is healthy. And also, we have seen this, okay? Jason Tatum has struggled at times, particularly efficiency-wise, in the postseason in big moments. So I don't like them there. And they've got a rookie coach who I think has been very good this year, but I would take Eric Spoelstra over him. The Nets thing, to me, I'm with you. I think a lot of it is early money. I think a lot of it is obviously fear of Durant and Kyrie. They would be the worst defensive team to win a championship in the past 30 years. And I'm not saying that just to be hyperbolic. I'm saying that because the statistics tell you that. Okay, I remember a conversation with Shane Battier after the Heat lost in San Antonio in 2014 when the Spurs made mincemeat of them, right? Okay, and you went on to argue that the Heat had more talent even at that stage, but the Spurs were exceptionally well coached and just played at an extremely high level, okay? I'll try not to, Brooklyn. But here's the thing. The first thing Shane Battier said when we got in that locker room was, I knew we weren't going to win a title because we weren't top 10 in defensive efficiency. You're not winning a championship going into the playoffs 22nd in the league in defensive efficiency.
Now, Ethan, I got to ask you this. Do you think there is a correlation within top 10 defensive efficiency to make a well-established championship run? Like, have you seen, I obviously I'm not well-versed in the basketball world in terms of EPA and efficiency, but have you seen correlation with teams who've made deep playoff runs to be top 10 in defensive efficiency?
I mean, you have to. I don't. I mean, I think. When we talk about the great offensive teams of all time, people talk about the Showtime Lakers. They were consistently a top 5 defensive team. The one team that tried to kind of break the mold on this, okay, was the Phoenix Suns in the D'Antoni era.
Yeah.
7 seconds or less. But even they were not as bad defensively, efficiency-wise, per 100 possessions as they appeared. They were bad when you looked at their points per game, but their pace was higher than other teams. They're the one, but other than that, I mean, you look at those teams that have competed for championships. The Spurs were always top 10 defensively. Jordan's Bulls were always top 10 defensively. Okay, we don't even have to go back to those Pistons teams, although we know what those were. The Lakers teams that won championships, they were never top 5, but they were always top 10. You have to at least, be in that range. And particularly now, because the game is played differently. If you can't defend the 3 consistently, you're going to get bounced to the playoffs. The Nets don't defend the 3 at all. I think, we're looking at a team and everybody is projecting what they want that team to be, not what they are. Okay. I remember before the year, Screaming A. Smith was going on and on about the idea that it was unfair to put this many Hall of Famers on one team, and he was including Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. We realized that neither of those guys, they're both healthy, apparently, neither of those guys are sniffing the playoff rotation for the Brooklyn Nets. None of them have played recently. So this is projection. This is not wanting to dive into the game. The Phoenix Suns this year have been elite. Like, they're like, I'm not historically elite, but they are a legitimate number 1 seed in the NBA. And I can tell you that nobody on ESPN knows who the hell Mikal Bridges is. Okay. That's where we're at. All right. And so if that's the thing, it's just Kyrie Durant. Okay, great. But I thought
and the Knicks
they also had James Harden. They don't even have Harden now, as much as I, deplore watching his game. They don't even have Harden. Are we counting on Ben Simmons after being out for an entire season, coming back and just playing a role and being an effective player? On paper, yes. On paper, you're like, okay, he fills their need. He's a long defender on the perimeter. He sets other guys up. If he never shoots, it's fine. On paper, it sounds good. He's coming off. I mean, we haven't seen Ben play in a year. He
looks good in that lambskin. That's about it.
There's more highlight videos of that guy. Seriously, every single time he takes a jump shot, in practice, we need to chronicle it. Does that mean that he's not as good as people think he is? I think that's the case.
So, Ethan, I got to ask you this in terms of the Heat. I was reading an article, and it was actually after the Golden State Warriors, after that game, that debacle, that screaming thing. We all know, as Miami fans, that's healthy. That's normal. For
family,
right? Now, national media is like, oh, they're in shambles. They're tearing it apart. They're not gonna make a deep run.
Jimmy's gonna request a trade. That's being reported now.
They're quote unquote frauds. Okay,
Alex, you should see when I sent that one out to some people around Jimmy. That the text that I got back on that. Go ahead.
I wanted to know about, and the interesting thing about that, and sorry to cut off Hussam. You can build on it with this point with the Jimmy thing. So. I see this headline from an Athletic story yesterday. I see it. And the part that was interesting about it to me, you want to talk about clickbait. Like, they're not citing anybody within the Heat or anybody close to Jimmy. They're citing unnamed rival players who are it even says speculating that if the Heat get bounced early in the playoffs, which is another condition they put on it, if the Heat have an early playoff exit, then Jimmy could request a trade. But we know how, the age of social media works. Nobody bothers to read the fine print. They just share and they freak out.
Well, okay, some context on that. And then I'll get to Hassam's point here because I kind of know where he's going. The context on that is I know Joe Vardon very well. I covered the Cavs with him for a year in Cleveland. And Joe sat next to me at a couple of Heat games down here, because I'm usually in the chair where I sit next to the writer from out of town. And again, I'm friendly with Joe. Joe followed the Heat around for a couple of weeks. He did it in LA. I was out there with him, and then he did it back here, and he traveled with him a bit. He did a piece on Bam earlier. I don't know if he just didn't get any access this time, which is kind of what I feel. I know he got access to Oladipo because he wrote a story about Oladipo. But I mean, that was not. I'll just say this: not Joe's best work. Okay, and I don't know if it's again the restrictions on access or what happened there. I mean, you can't be quoting rival players about what they think is going to happen and then not citing them. I'm just not a fan of that type of journalism. I think that, and additionally, it was clear that nobody inside at the high levels of the Heat spoke to him about it, and that's not uncommon. I mean, that is one of the reasons, okay, that the Heat don't get the national respect of other teams is that they don't feed the national media. They never have. Okay, that's the thing. Like, and they're selective with who they do so with locally. Also, okay, you know, I can get my questions answered by certain people because I've been around for 25 years, but not. I mean, I'll just be honest. Not everybody can. There's about 5 people who can. Okay, and so I just think that when you're looking at the national guys, I think a lot of what's happened here is they don't really understand the Miami organization. It's not like Daryl Morey who's putting his stuff out there on Twitter all the time. Like Pat has a Twitter account. Okay. He doesn't know how to use it. I just think, you know, like that's, you know, it's just not what they believe in. You know what I mean? Like, and so what happens is there are misunderstandings about how the Heat operate because they're not going to fill in the blanks for you. They don't care enough. You know, think what you think. I had somebody, you know, very prominent in the Heat organization who, when the whole Jimmy Haslam thing was coming up, he texted me like with a bunch of like, you know, laughing emojis because he just thought it was funny that they were finally talking about them, but didn't know what the hell they were talking about. That story to me looked like an editor assigned a story. Joe was with me. Okay, I believe he was there that day that the whole thing happened. What are you opening?
Yeah, what
is that?
It was just some sauces.
So anyway, I mean, I could use some barbecue over here, but I don't. I mean, not on my pizza.
It's actually
have some
mint and
leftover
cilantro. It's mint and cilantro.
That's good sauce too.
I don't know how that goes on pizza rolls, but the whole thing is, okay, a pineapple much better on pizza rolls than
I love.
What are you doing?
I did that for Donno.
Love it.
But anyway, I do have to get to some stuff, so I want to close the loop on at least this part of it. Jimmy is not requesting a trade. Okay. Basically, I was told no fucking way by somebody close to him. And here's the whole thing about it. If Jimmy had a problem with Eric Spoelstra, do we really think that his agent, who represents like Jimmy and just a couple other players in the league, would be out there on Twitter touting Eric Spoelstra for Coach of the Year? Like literally, I mean, which he's done recently. Like this whole thing is so ridiculous. This is just people who don't know anything that goes on with the Heat. And that's why I kind of go back to this place where I'm like, okay, it's ridiculous that they never talk about the Heat, but maybe it's better.
I think
maybe just leave everybody alone down here to do their own thing. And like, you know, I mean, do you think there's any of these national folks, okay, who know how Max Strus is? Like, do they know what a Max Strus is?
No
way. No, there's no chance. Okay,
they think it's probably like some type of special Italian trombone flavor,
like you're eating right now. Although that's not what you're eating.
No, like Ethan's eating. It's a type of pizza roll.
Yeah, it's pepperoni. You got anything else for me? The Butler thing is ridiculous, Donno.
I got one more thing. I got one more thing for you because we've been talking on the show, and I didn't have an episode yesterday, but on Monday I had Alfredo Arteaga, among other things. He made a case, and I don't know if anyone can beat this case when we're talking about best regular season teams in South Florida history, because the Panthers they're in process of an incredible one right now. Now, Alfredo made the case. He threw a couple of different Dolphin seasons in the mix. 72, which was the road to perfection. And even 1984 he threw in there, which was a very good shout. And now the Heat, Ethan, I'll let you represent the Heat, have had in recent memory, going back about 8-9 years, one of the best regular seasons in town. What do you think was the best regular season in Heat history?
Well, I think should be unanimous. I mean, that's 12-13. 27-game winning streak, 66 wins. LeBron James probably at the peak of his powers. I think any rational observer would look back and say, you know, maybe he had better playoff runs, maybe 16, but like as far as regular season, 12-13 was his best regular season. Dwayne couldn't be counted on every night anymore, but he was still pretty great when he played. Bosh was at a high level. Spoelstra had a very set rotation that year. One of our guys at 5 Reasons, who's going to actually be joining me Monday for podcast, Norris Cole, was part of that 9-man rotation. So maybe I'll ask him about it. But they were no, I mean, I think that's clearly it. I think obviously with the Heat that there's a lot to choose from. I think that Alfredo identified the 2 for the Dolphins. The unfortunate part is there aren't more. But
not in the last not in the last 38 years there aren't more. Yeah.
Well, there aren't more. But I think that if you look at the Heat, I think that the 12-13 Heat season would fit in as the 3rd best regular season in Miami sports history. I think that the 72 Dolphins have to be first just by default. And I think that the Canes 2001 season is probably what I would put second. But I think that you can make a case for the Heat season at second also. They were clearly by efficiency, by every number, entertainment value. That was the year. Now, if you're looking at others, the Heat history is interesting because, again, there have been so many. But like the 2004-2005 season was actually a much better regular season than the season that they won the championship in, which was 2005-06. So I wouldn't put that championship season in there. I wouldn't put the 11-12 season necessarily in there. It's not as memorable. Obviously the other 2 Big 3 seasons had their own issues, although Miami did get it together in both years to at least get to the finals. There were fun seasons. I think the 03-04 season, even though they only won 42 games, is sort of fondly remembered. I think this Heat season, we can certainly make a case would be top 5 in terms of, surprise value, entertainment value, just a lot of homegrown players, which I think people always appreciate. So I think all of those are in the mix. And I think you've got to throw, one of the Zoe Tim years in there. I would say probably the 61 win Road Warriors season is the one that I would go with.
Yes.
But there have been a bunch. I mean, there really are fewer seasons that were not memorable. I think, 2001, 2002, they had a bunch of old guys. Nobody remembers it. 2002, 2003, they were kind of pivoting with Caron Butler. That one wasn't memorable. A couple of the years after LeBron, obviously, the first one after was frustrating. Henry Walker taking shots at the end of the game with Michael Beasley. Well, I don't know what. Yeah, it didn't go very well. And then even the Wade Last Dance season, was really only about one person. That one I think kind of gets washed away, except for a few Dwayne moments. And I think last season will go down, and I think that tells you something. When last season, a season that the Heat did make the playoffs. Okay, they did. They got swept, but they did make the playoffs. Was a year that doesn't rank very high in Heat history because right now, if you look at the last 20 years of Dolphins, it would be like, they would be doing things that Minnesota Timberwolves fans did last night. So it's just different expectations in this town.
Oh, man. So that's well said. And Ethan, let people know everything you have going on. You mentioned going to be having Norris Cole on some podcasts. Let people know where and when they can find 5 on the Floor and Starting 9 and anything else you do that I may have left out. Because I know you're like me. You do a lot of different things throughout the day.
Well, I appreciate it. 5 Reasons Sports on Twitter, obviously, is the hub here, and 5reasonsports.com, where you can find some of Husam's work, too, on the Dolphins. We don't have a paywall there, unlike the others. Obviously, if you're on the YouTube channel, you can find all our content. 5 on the Floor. We're probably going to go every day now until the playoffs is over with. So make sure you check that out. And we have added Norris Cole as our playoff contributor. So he's going to be with us. I think his first pod with us is going to be Monday. But he's going to be on Post Up 5R, which is our post-game show at times. Time change is a little tricky. He's 6 hours ahead right now. So,
what country is he in?
I don't even know. I'm not sure he knows. He was in Israel. He was in Italy. He's all over the place. He's won a bunch of championships over there too. But of course, he won 2 with the Heat. He's going to be on some Post Up 5R episodes. But again, that'll be 5 in the morning wherever he's at. So we appreciate it. Yes, Husam inhales his food. I'm going to eat this one just before I go here. Woo. In case Jimmy demands a trade, I got to have my energy.
I have that.
All right. So I'll see you guys.
Thanks so much. See you, Ethan. That was good stuff there. And I want to remind folks a couple things before we do some shout outs and wrap it up here. Guys, we have an official daily fantasy sports provider here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. And this place is a lot of fun, and it's only going to get more and more fun once we get the playoffs started in basketball and in hockey. I guess technically the playoffs have already started with play-ins in the NBA. The real thing is going to start Saturday, and then the Heat open up on Sunday. But guys, Prize Picks, this truly is daily fantasy simplified. Prize Picks, it combines my love for daily fantasy and parlays. Yes, my friends, it is you versus the numbers. You simply select 2, 3, or 4 players, predict if they're going to go over or under various fantasy projections and stat projections, and you win real money, guys. You can win 10 times your money for getting 4 predictions correct, and something you want to make sure you do because it's going to help you and it's going to help us. It's going to help you by giving you guys a big-time deposit bonus, and it's going to help us because they're going to know we referred you. So when you sign up and make your deposit at Prize Picks, use the code 5. Spell it out, FIVE, and they're going to match your first deposit 100% up to $100. So and the mobile app is so easy to use, Prize Picks mobile app. You can also use prizepicks.com. It truly is daily fantasy simplified. Let me get that Prize Picks logo off of our faces there. It is a beautiful logo, though. It really is. Although I think I'm still rocking the old logo. I got to update to the new Prize Picks logo. Hussam, you've written a couple things on 5 Reasons Sports Network today. I know there's a lot of Dolphin fans who are in the chat.
Today, but yeah.
Well, you tagged me in a tweet today, so I thought you wrote it today. And I know a lot of people tune into this show every day. We love you. A lot of people tune in for Dolphins talk. I think that there are a lot of people who are Dolphins and Heat fans. For the ones who are just Dolphin fans, you're angry. Why is he talking so much Miami Heat today? Well, Hussam has you covered on the Dolphins side as well.
I do have y'all covered on the Dolphins side as well. Of course, listen to 3 Yards Per Carry, one of the main podcasts here for the Dolphins. Quarterdeck, I gotta come down, man. I gotta come down for the quarterdeck.
I'm literally holding Brooklyn Rob's gift card that
and maybe the quarterdeck will probably start making some biryani so I can come down and hail it all into my belly.
It would do it for you, I think.
Maybe Heat games, Dolphins games, Panthers games as well. But yeah, I mean, it's the offseason for the Miami Dolphins. The draft is 2 weeks away, right? So I'm big on this. Yes, I'm a draft nut, but it's really fine-tuning it. And look, Miami Dolphins only really have 4 draft picks, and the average fan doesn't necessarily know what kind of prospects the Dolphins are looking for. Like, let me ask you this. Have you heard of Tyquan Thornton?
I have heard the name. Is he a wide receiver? I'm not even sure what position he plays.
Wide receiver, Michigan State.
I got it. Yes. Oh, you know why I've heard of him? You know what? You know why I've heard of him? Because Miami played Michigan State last year.
And it's because I sent you the tweet today, too.
No, it's not even that. I didn't read it. You know me. If you send me a link, I will share it. I read at a 3rd grade level, so the odds that I actually read it are like 10%. But no, I do remember Tyquan Thornton.
So 11 days ago, I actually wrote an article on 5 Reasons, and I talked about the 3 wide receivers that would fit the Miami Dolphins. And one of them was Tyquan Thornton from Michigan State. This morning, Jeremy Fowler comes out with a tweet that says Tyquan Thornton had some workouts, and he already worked out with the Miami Dolphins too. Nice. That's one player you guys can keep an eye on. You know, he fits Mike McDaniel's scheme. The system, he's a very good deep threat as well. There's a lot of pressures coming out too within the offseason, pre-draft, post-draft, and during the OTAs. I know Ethan was at the presser today. Landon Roberts spoke, Austin Jackson. The big thing we took away from the Austin Jackson presser was that it's looking like they're going to give him a chance to play a right tackle, protecting to his blind side now. Now,
I'm all scared now.
We're all scared because we know how Austin Jackson has played, but you got to remember and think the blocking scheme that was implemented the last 2 years was a power blocking scheme.
Didn't
fit Austin Jackson.
That's true.
Didn't fit Liam Eichenberg. Robert Hunt is good in both man and zone. Eichenberg and AJ, both their athleticism profile dictates a zone scheme type of system, which is what Mike McDaniel brings over from his San Francisco days. So they're going to give him a chance to give that right tackle position. See how he does. If not, maybe he could be a swing tackle. He could be a backup or a guard or something like that. They can move him around the line. And I don't know if people saw Mike Gesicki speaking, but this dude looks fucking jacked.
He does.
He looks jacked, dude. He looks jacked. But yeah, I also have a mock draft coming on the 5 reasons.
7-round mock or a 1-round mock?
It's just 4 picks that Miami has. So it's basically like a 7
Oh,
round.
so it's like a Okay, I got you.
It's a Dolphins mock.
That's I mean, probably
season.
anybody who logs on to 5reasonsports.com is probably only looking for the Dolphins mock anyway. So you got us covered.
It's mock draft season, baby. Anyway, and there's some prospects that I think that the Miami Dolphins are going to be looking at. Some prospects that 3 Yards Per Carry crew already talked about. I had some initial sourcing from that too. Some couple people going to workouts as well. They're also in that mock. But it's not a lot of top prospects people know about because it's the 3rd, 4th, and 7th rounds.
Right.
Usually people don't know a guy like a Joshua Williams from Fayetteville State, defensive back.
You're just humble bragging. You're flexing now with this.
This is the type of stuff that, I want to give content to everybody here in the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I want to keep you guys informed as well and make you guys better fans. Hey, maybe you guys can become analysts as well.
I love it. Well, so that's huge stuff. Let me throw some shout outs before we wrap up this episode. David, he was the first person in the chat today. Congratulations. He wants Brooklyn Rob to start a mush chant if Brooklyn Rob comes down to one of the watch parties. Thank you, Brooklyn Rob, for tuning in today. Jay Smith, thank you so much. And yet, dude, Norris Cole with Royal A. Shepherd on the same show. They're gonna break internet records. Like I don't know what the most hits a website has ever gotten is. I'm not privy to that data, but YouTube is gonna fucking crash. Like when you have Royal A. Shepherd and Norris Cole on the same YouTube video, YouTube will cease to exist.
It's gonna be insane, bro. It's gonna be fucking insane.
It's gonna be insane. I love our guy, AZ Cards, Phoenix Suns fan. He always comes in to like talk trash about how the Suns would beat the Heat. I don't argue that. Like you can talk all the trash you want. The Phoenix Suns are better than Miami Heat. Like you preach to the choir. I just want the Heat to get out of the East, and we'll see what happens.
One more thing before you end the shout-outs. You guys are watching Donno Daily. If you guys get a chance today, watch my live stream with Angelo Fantasy. You'll be more informed on some of the wide receivers going in the late rounds. We talk about Tyquan Thornton. Talk about the top 3 guys. Jamison Williams from Alabama, Drake London from USC, Garrett Wilson from Ohio State, Treylon Burks, who people like to call the next Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
He's 6'4", 230 pounds, and plays like Deebo Samuel. Is he Deebo Samuel? Tune in and find out, everybody.
That is a plug. Rudy N, thank you so much for watching. Kevin, thank you so much. IMAX, thank you so much for tuning in. Twisted Tapioca, I love that. Always could execute multiple schemes with lots of bodies to toss at team's best players. Yeah, because the Heat have so many options. Like if they wanted to, they could do like a 12-man rotation. But it's not usually the way Spoelstra rolls in the playoffs. But they have options. Marcus, thank you for watching today. Our guy Chris from the Finns Tailgate, and listen to Chris when he says hit that like button or butt that like button. He meant to say hit it, smash it, hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports. I think I may have shouted Jay out already. This is the problem. I'm so bad at these shout outs, Hussam, because it's, so many of the same people conversing. I try to shout out everybody, but I end up shouting out the same people like 4 times and skipping 4 people. So it is what it is. It's human. And you completely, you devoured that. You inhaled it. Miami Money, thank you. God Jordan, thank you so much. Let's see. Dagoat, thank you so much. Tony 2 times.
Tony 2 times.
I love oysters too, by the way.
I've never had oysters ever.
It's good, man. I mean, you're not gonna like. I don't think I even tried oysters till I was like 25, because like I was like kind of afraid of like raw stuff, and then I started like really getting into sushi, and I'm like, why not oysters? Like if I'm eating raw fish, why not raw, whatever, shellfish, whatever oysters are considered. And so I love them. Never looked back after that. Let's see, Canes 1989. Thank you so much. Let's see.
All this food making. Should I just like eat food whenever I'm on, just so the content just keeps rolling in and
I want to start like I've always wanted to start doing food reviews, but I don't know if there's enough crossover in the audience, right? Like is that like too quick? Obviously there are YouTube channels devoted to that, okay? If I were to on a sports talk live stream say, hey, like I just picked up like a freaking lamb sandwich and I want to show you guys how good this lamb, like you think people would be into that, or they'd say start a food channel and stay off my sports feed?
Yeah, but think about it though, like in the McAfee show, they're eating as well. They're
That's
drinking.
True.
They're
That's
eating.
True.
Barstool, it's pizza, wings, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Like we gotta do something special for Donno Daily too.
We should. Yeah. We should start eating. El Chicho, thank you so much for tuning in. Gonna throw a few more. I don't know if I'm gonna hit everybody today because I'm getting tired. It's a long day. And if you guys get a chance, if you haven't subscribed yet, I host the Locked On Canes podcast daily, Miami Hurricanes, primarily football. If it were basketball season still, we'd be talking basketball, but primarily football. We did a really cool episode with John Garcia Jr., who is
sweet.
He's really, and I didn't realize he was from South Florida because I had his phone number. Like, oh, it's a 786. So we were shooting the breeze a little bit. We were talking Cristobal, Canes recruiting. I just posted the episode like 15 minutes before we went live here. So if you guys find Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, Odyssey, wherever you get your podcast, search for Locked On Canes. And if you're a Canes fan,
I gotta bring you on to the scouting combine to talk Canes football when I get into the summer.
Definitely,
just training camp stuff like that, and maybe have a crossover with Locked On Canes.
We should.
That would be cool.
Yeah, just let me know whenever you want to do it. Yeah, so if you guys get a chance, I've only been hosting Locked On Canes for I think less than 2 weeks. I just did my 9th episode today. So if you get a chance to subscribe, help me grow that platform as well, because it's a lot of fun talking Canes football every single day. All right, let me see who else is in. We'll throw a couple more. Raziel the Great, thank you for tuning in. Let's see. Ian from Brooklyn. I think that might be it. I probably skipped some people. I don't do it on purpose. I apologize. Before we hit the road here, want to remind you guys, please support our sponsors. We just talked about Prize Picks a few minutes ago. Make sure you head out to the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill. 2-for-1 happy hour, delicious food, TVs all over the place to watch the game. We are going to be announcing dates. Once we have the dates, we're going to be announcing the dates for our Heat Road playoff watch parties at the Quarterdeck Davy. So come out and meet us there. Make sure you guys are signing up at America's favorite sports book, full-service online sports book, fully available in Florida. People ask me that all the time. Can I use it in Florida? Yes, you can. BetUS.com. Live betting, parlays, spreads, money lines, player props. They even have a full casino on the site. You can play blackjack for real money, slot games, table games. Sign up with our code 5RSN125 for a 125% sign-up bonus. That's our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com.
.com, yes. Money, people. Don't you like free money? Who doesn't like free money? Come on.
I love free money. And especially like they give you more money than you deposited. 125%. I had a lot of math classes in college, so I know how to do complex multiplication. If you deposit $100, they give you $125 on top of your deposit. If you deposit $1,000, they give you $1,250 on top of your deposit. And thank you, by the way, Aniket Patel from listening from Montreal.
Ooh, another Patel. Let's go, baby.
That's right. I thought maybe that was like a relative of yours. Do you have any family in Canada?
I think on my mom's side, I got family in Canada, but I don't really know anybody in Canada.
Okay. I know lots of people in Canada. It's a lot of, hockey fans and soccer fans. So we cross paths a lot. And they're fans. Yeah, that's true. All right. So huge thanks to Hussam. Make sure you check out his work and make sure you check out, by the way, plug your show one more time as well, because I want to make sure everybody's watching it.
It's called The Scout and Combine. You can find it on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Next show, I'm going to be talking to somebody who trains an edge rusher who will could be the number 1 pick in the 2022 NFL draft. So tune in, guys.
I like it. We will talk to you guys again tomorrow, 2 p.m. And we're also going to have 5 rounds tomorrow. So 2 p.m. for Donno Daily, 6 p.m. for 5 rounds. Frank Zaffrey, James Walker, and I will talk combat sports. We'll talk about that more tomorrow on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.